Colic. Ugh. What happens if you've done everything? You've swaddled, pacifier, you've repetition to soothe, and you know what? Your baby spits the pacifier out and keeps crying and keeps crying and keeps crying. That is a colicky baby. Technically, colic is excessive crying for a long period of time. There's different reasons why that could be happening, and based on the fact that we are evidence-based, we don't want to guess. We want to know exactly what is going on with our baby. So, babies, all human babies, are born with a leaky gut. And in a perfect world, at 12 weeks, that gut would seal and we wouldn't have leaky gut syndrome. I know there's a lot of adults that are suffering from leaky gut syndrome, and that's because at 12 weeks, something interfered with that and didn't allow the gut to seal. What is one thing that we know scientifically that delays the sealing of the gut? Is water. So when babies, boys, are circumcised in the hospital, they give them soothies. It's a sugar water to help release endorphins and kill pain. And guess what? That allows them to have a leaky gut for longer, and your baby is more likely to have colic-like symptoms. So, great advice if you are going to circumcise your baby is just ask them, please don't put any sugar water on the pacifier. I just want the circumcision done and then to put the baby on the breast as soon as possible. Because remember, if you put the baby on the breast, they get oxytocin. It's a painkiller, the equivalent of morphine. It will take away any pain. And you can ask, can I be in the room when you do the circumcision and put the baby directly on the breast? You absolutely can. You just have to request it. So, what is colic? It could be one of two things. Either a food protein intolerance or a lactose intolerance. It's confusing because they kind of sound the same, but they're totally different. So with a leaky gut, a food protein intolerance is the baby reacting to a food protein that goes through their digestive system into their bloodstream and causes a non-immune reaction to the food protein. It's not a food allergy, it's a food protein intolerance. So, how do you figure out if your baby has a lactose intolerance or a food protein intolerance? It's very simple. You test their poop for microscopic blood particles. If you see blood in your baby's stool, that means it's already progressed. Even if you don't see blood in your baby's poop, the pediatrician can do a test, and it takes about 30 seconds. They take a poopy diaper that you bring into the office, put 2 little swabs of this, and then some liquid on the back, and it will tell you within a few seconds if there's microscopic blood particles in the poop. If there is, your baby is suffering from a food protein intolerance. A lactose intolerance for babies is extremely rare. Breast milk contains lactose, and the more milk a mom makes, that watered down milk is higher in lactose. So it is possible to have a baby that's lactose intolerant, but it's very, very rare. If your baby is having colic-like symptoms, it's most likely a food protein intolerance. The best thing is to ask your pediatrician to test their poop for blood to see if it comes back positive or negative. If it comes back positive, that means they're reacting to a food protein that has gotten into your bloodstream and gotten to your milk or into their bloodstream. So how would you even know which food protein it is? 80% of food protein intolerances are caused by the cow's milk protein, the full intact cow's milk protein. So if your baby has colic and you're exclusively breastfeeding, no formula whatsoever, the process of elimination of foods, we're going to do it statistically. So because it's an 80% chance that it's the cow's milk protein, do is eliminate eating cow's milk. The more processed the food, the more processed the protein. So drinking milk is definitely a higher concentration of the protein than eating some butter or some cheese. So my recommendation would be to eliminate one food at a time over several days to find out which one it is. So statistically, the top 3 are not what you think. 80% of food protein intolerances and colic-like symptoms are caused by the cow's milk protein. Number 2 is nuts, especially almonds. And number 3 is red foods, tomatoes and strawberries. I know it sounds crazy, but these are statistically, and we know from UC Davis that those are the top 3 reasons why your baby might have a food protein intolerance. So if you're exclusively breastfeeding and you eliminate one of those foods, your baby's colic-like symptoms should disappear. If you're feeding formula, then you just have to change the formula. So there's different types of formulas. There's regular formulas, some Similac, Infamil, NeuroPro. Those contain the full intact cow's milk protein. Then you have formulas with broken down proteins, like Gerber Good Start Soothe, or a sensitive formula. You're looking for broken down proteins. Those are easier for the baby to digest. Then one step higher are hypoallergenic formulas. That means they've taken the protein and completely mashed it, so there's nothing for the baby to react to. So the reason I'm telling you this is I would hate if you're a breastfeeding mom to have a baby with colic-like symptoms and come back with a positive stool test for blood. You eliminate all dairy products out of your diet, but you are giving 1 bottle of formula a day to your baby. That will be wasted energy on your part because the formula contains the cow's milk protein. So if you are supplementing and you are going to do any type of elimination diet, you have to switch to, I recommend, a hypoallergenic formula. So food protein intolerance, lactose intolerance. There is no way to test for a lactose intolerance. Lactose, if you pump your milk, you will see a layer of fat when you put the milk in the fridge, and you will see that breast milk is 90% water. The more milk you make and the longer the milk stays in the breast, it's higher in lactose. It's specifically designed for a baby. Lactose is energy. Lactose is carbohydrates. So this is why it's designed this way. When you fall asleep and you enter REM sleep, you get a surge of prolactin. So you make the most amount of milk closer to when you sleep. When you wake up and you feed your baby, they're going to get milk high in lactose. That's great. That's what gives them energy. Then as the day goes on, your supply gets lower and lower, but the milk gets fattier and fattier so that they get a ton of fat, the good stuff, and then boom, they can do that 5-hour stretch of sleep at night. So lactose is not bad. It's just determining scientifically what is the actual problem. So again, if you have a colicky baby that is crying excessively, what I would recommend is to speak to the pediatrician and ask them to test the baby's stool for microscopic blood particles. If it comes back positive, it's an 80% chance it's the cow's milk protein. And then the second highest statistically would be nuts, especially almonds. Those would be the first two things I would eliminate, starting in chunks, about 72 hours, and see if that makes a difference. And you can take care of the colic-like symptoms on your own, knowing that it's just temporary. The baby is crying a lot, but it's just because they don't feel good. So you can put them on the breast to soothe, knowing it's not going to be like this forever. This is just temporary, and you're working on a solution.